So I'm kind of late to the party here with this review of Nanatsu no Taizai, Wrath of the Gods, Episode 8. But that didn't take away what was, once again, another emotional episode, which I thought the last episode was emotional enough. But this episode, wow. And it kind of explains the reason why Gowther ran off the way he did. So I didn't expect another flashback, but I gotta say, I like the pacing in this flashback because we got it over with. We got to the meat of the potatoes of what the issue was with Gowther. The Sin's looking for Gowther. In this time, Gowther is like hearing a noise which plagues his flashback, which takes place 45 years ago, which obviously takes place after the events of the War of Britannia 3,000 years ago that we saw in the previous flashback. So by this point, the magician Gowther is passed away. But we're in the cave where they're at. We're in an underground cave, and immediately bumps into a girl, Nadja, who we saw clearly in the brief vision that Gowther had in the previous episode. So now that kind of makes sense of who she is. Nadja, who is at this point, 45 years ago, the Princess of Leonis, which right now she's in the position that Elizabeth is in. Makes sense because we couldn't find out that Denzel and Barta is the brother, so that makes a whole lot of sense. So, and I love how it ties in with how Barta had the heart, which was pretty much just an amulet at this point. Introduces herself as a princess. She actually takes a liking to Gowther right from the get. In fact, Gowther to the point that Gowther didn't want to be left alone, like he was by the hands of the magician Gowther, because obviously he couldn't be there for him anymore because of his health. But I do like the fact that she said she would come back for him. Immediately we get introduced to the brother, obviously being known as Barta. What's really cool is he doesn't have animosity towards Gowther despite the outcome. And we also come to find out that she's in a weakened state right now. And she's in a weakened condition right now, kind of like what the magician Gowther was. So it's kind of like the parallels are there. And this time, Gowther witnesses the magician Gowther's body. So the Gowther, thinking that he's a doll, is like mourning over this. He's crying, and even when Nadja returns, she's like, "Oh, have you been crying? It looks like you have. I've been left alone, so I don't want to be given any more presents." She brought a storybook towards Gowther, and immediately he glanced through it and says, "Oh, an amazing story!" And he immediately took the appearance of the main character of that story. So I thought that was kind of cool. We've seen him do this before, take appearances. In fact, it was happening in his introduction. And what it did though was kind of freak Nadja out to the point where she passed out, because at one point he opened up his chest and showed her his heart, which ends up being obviously the lookalike of the magic of the heart, what we saw previously. And the way he did it though, it freaked her out and she passed out. We go into a household or a mansion where she'd been, or the castle actually, the owner's castle, where she'd been accompanied by her brother. We later find out that it was kind of obvious, like when he was saying, "Oh, a maid brought you back in from the cave to your room." I kind of thought that was BS. I thought Gowther was the one that brought her back into the room. Turns out that's what he did. He was just hiding behind the curtain, dressed up as a maid, which I guess things don't change because his CrossFit changing ways have never ended, even with his memories erased. Because of this, he becomes close not only with Nadja, but also with Barta as well. So that would make sense. Barta acknowledged that, "Oh, my sister was smiling because of you. I want you to stay by her side. She doesn't have long, so make sure you smile." Which I thought he's going to be completely show a bit of resentment, but it goes to show you what a great character can do, even a mid-tier character like Barta. So that was pretty cool. Recreates a scene from the book because he's riding on the horse with. But Nadja, at this point, she has real feelings towards Gowther, and Gowther somehow has feelings towards her, and he's not quite sure what to think about it. Once again, he takes the appearance of the main character. They go riding through the night on a horse, and you see it in the moonlight as well, so that would make sense. Especially since we know the moon appeared when all the sins were united, so that also triggers the flashback as well. So it makes more sense. It has more meaning while it reunites the sin. So I like how that thing ties itself together. Nadja explains to Gowther when they're in the bedroom, quote unquote. They don't have the chance to go any further than a makeout session. But either way, it's still an emotional moment because Gowther, for the first time, experiencing feelings that he experienced only with his with the person that created him, the real Gowther. But now Gowther can take that position, and I like how Nadja explains, hey, that's not just his dream, it's for you to see with your own eyes and your own heart. And your heart is no different than mine that beats. So I like that. It's like it's no different, and it leads to a makeout session for the third time in 2 episodes. So, but it has some weight towards it, so I like it. Obviously, her last few moments were spent with Gowther. Gowther, until the last minute, didn't realise down, obviously, because once again he's left alone in the world, or so he thinks. And because of this, he breaks down. And I don't know if he did this by design, because he was just done with it, because he realised the guards were coming, and they were like trying to break in, right? The guards protect Nadja and Bata and the rest. And I don't know if he did this by design, if he just tried to save her, but he grabbed his own heart and tried to put it inside her chest, and it made it look like a murder scene. So again, it looked like he made that intentionally just to get himself caught, or he did that, tried to save her life, and it did work out, and the timing was awful. So it's one of the 2 explanations, but either way, he gets caught, he gets burned at the stake, and he just tears up. So that moment catches you, and it explains so much about Gowther, past and present. It's like before we get to the flashback, he's about to erase his own memories again because he's like traumatized by the noise. He's not sure what to make of it, but then he is reminded of what he went through. So he's makes it even more worse. He's trying to erase his own memories. So I'm assuming he took his own heart, and that's how Bata got his hands on it. And I like before the execution took place, you had Denzel, who's also a brother of Bata, right? So it makes sense he has resentment, but Bata doesn't, because he's like, no, he's the one that was staying by my sister's side, making her smile. So no, he's not the one who's caused this. So I like that. Either way, we cut to the present time, and Diane obviously put a stop erasing his memories, because if you remember, she said she was going to look after Gowther and guide him in the right direction. Not only Diane, but also King, and because of the training, it helped out, as he tried to back down. And he did try to attack at one point, but Diane dodged it easily. And I think she actually used a dance technique, and obviously King was right there. He didn't attack because right there it was stopped, and then Merlin comes in, calls down the situation as usual, then explains I figured out what the cause was. You're so traumatized by what happened by Nadja, Nadja's brother being Bata, that you tried to hide yourself and break down your own memories, and because of this you're perplexed by this, you don't want to face it. That was why he ran off when he saw the vision of those memories, because he was plagued by them, because he didn't want to experience them again. And that's the reason why he wanted to end his own memory, so he didn't have to go through that. But Diane and King and the rest of the sins were there to make sure, no, you don't erase those memories. They'll live on with you. Embrace them and move forward. So pretty much, in a nutshell, that's what they were saying to him. And I love how, even though the episode was over, he can go for understand the situation, and he finally does, and he gets it, and it ends with the credits, the ending song with Gowther. So I like that, because it's a completion to his story that we didn't really know about that much. So officially, the sins are reunited. So now we can get into the other side of things, unless we get another flashback. So unless it's Merlin, it might be too much. But other than that, I don't see where we go from there. The rest of the commandments. Oh, and I do like it. Well, Bon and Meliodas having the conversation before we go to the flashback. Bon is like, were you aware of Gowther's situation, Meliodas and Captain? And Meliodas says, yep, I knew it. And it makes sense just because of the fact that he was part of the 10 Commandments at one point. Now with the sins actually reunited, and Gowther actually has a heart. And I like how Merlin explained, you never needed this thing. It's just an amulet. The heart is inside you. So that's how the episode ends. Great episode. Like I said, I was late to the party with the review, but here it is nonetheless. And I enjoyed this episode. Hopefully, unless, like I said before, unless we get another flashback, the only one left is Merlin we don't really know anything about. But other than that, I hope we can get to some things that actually involve the sins in conflict because we know the Ten Commandments are coming at some point, so that has to be explained. By the way, I'm shocked that we've seen a lot less of Elizabeth in this season than I thought we would. So I don't know if that's done by design, but either way, I guess it's giving the spotlight to other characters, so that's pretty cool. That's going to do it for you guys. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you like this review, if you did, subscribe to for more 7 Deadly Sins. Catch you guys later. Thanks, guys. Bye.